Yeah. Good evening, friends. And in the journey of Beyond Law CLC, it has always been fascinating. And the baby steps we feel are taking the converting into the giant steps. And the journey and the intent with which this entire process of Beyond Law CLC was germinated with the concept that we could go and talk beyond law. And while we are talking about beyond law, the topics like today are a journey and steps towards that, wherein we can talk about the soft skills and how you can improve. The different aspects that of today's topic of secret of self-confidence is also an attempt and a process towards that. Amongst us, we have, I'm sorry, I have a bad throat today, CA Amar Agarwala, who is not only an advocate, lawyer, chartered accountant, CS, MBA. When I received the professional qualifications of Mr. Amar Agarwala, I thought probably he has not just done the MBBS and engineering. The rest of all the fortes he has done, which it could have been done. And probably that is one of the reasons that the journey of self-confidence oozes out, and they say that just like a cricketer who is a good bowler or a good cricketer, one he has knowledge that oozes more confidence. And self-confidence is self-acclamation towards that journey. But is it simplicity, a self-belief of self-confidence? Or, as they say, that you have to have knowledge? I'm just reminded that they say that empty vessels make more noise. And the more the occupied knowledge, the more occupied the space it is less. And when I was talking before connecting on the session, he said that his hallmark is to join the session or a webinar or a seminar much prior in time. His entire belief is that time is more like a gas which occupies the space and the vessel which would like to give it. Since people would like to hear Mr. Agarwala, I shouldn't become a standing wall within it. Rather, I should become a bridge so that Mr. Agarwala takes over, just like a marathon. But we believe that from the silver linings, it will turn into the gold, because he's well known for his oratory, his knowledge, a poet, an author, and so on and on. As a book, always you see, you find that written it's PTO, that is please turn over. So his knowledge and his professional qualification. It's just like that. You'll have to just keep on turning pages, and you will always embark upon the new processes and mindsets over to that. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Vikas. And namaskar. Good evening, everybody. Warm greetings from the city of Kolkata. It's also called the city of joy. And one of the reasons which connects this theme, the city of joy, to this month of September, is that, September is a very special month. It's very special in the sense that, September lays the prelude to the Durga Puja celebrations, which happens to be the grandest, the most pious, the most spirited, the biggest street festival to be held in this country and anywhere in the world. In fact, what makes this month of September all the more special this year is because in December 2021, Kolkata was given the heritage status, Durga Puja celebration of Kolkata by UNESCO. So, this year the celebrations are all the more special because of that. And this is the time when the city and the state of West Bengal, it comes alive with spirit, with a lot of piety, with of course, needless to say, a lot of holidays. And there are many days in this month of September, which is prelude to Durga Puja, which starts in October, which are very, very auspicious. Like today, 17th of September also happens to be Vishwakarma Puja. And I am not sure how many people would be aware of it, but, people who are skilled, craftsmen, artisans, engineers, people who work with their hands, skillful people, they are all devotees of Vishwakarma because he's supposed to be the one who creates. So, today is Vishwakarma Puja, is a day of creation. And, when we talk about creation, when we talk about skills, when we talk about such kind of gadgets, we cannot leave out machines because, we live in a machine world. Today we live with machines and gadgets, and I think that is man's one of the foremost creations of mankind has been machines and gadgets. And considering that the machines hold sway over everything in the kind of world we live in today, and we have to understand that in this era of information technology where you and me live, there is something which is very significant, and that is data. You must be wondering that I am starting this topic with machines and data, but you'll find the deep connect. You see, data runs the world today, and processing data is the in thing. And let me start with some small statistics. Again, being a teacher for many years, I always have students in my mind, and I think every one of us is a student, no matter how old we are. And when we talk about our country and we talk about a certain statistics, which is again deeply linked with data, at any point of time in a country, there are 250 million students studying anywhere, whether it's in school or it's in college or any other part, any university. Now, an astonishing fact is, out of the 250 million who study in these schools and colleges and universities, about 50 million, they drop out. They drop out in the primary and secondary stage, so they don't go in for further studies. Others drop out after the primary and secondary stage. And the most astonishing part is that only about 20 million, they go in for probably graduation for higher studies. Maybe they study law or they study chartered accountancy in commerce, because since I'm from commerce. And out of the 20 million who study these kind of advanced and premium courses in commerce, probably only 250,000 attempt such premium education courses, and a very small percentile pass. Now, what is important for us to understand is this small percentile who are passing are very special. They're very privileged. And not only are they very special and very privileged, but the fact remains that the onus of the youth to a great measure lies on these shoulders, because these are educated, highly educated boys and girls who have to carry the mantle of this country forward. And you have to understand that not only are these people premium educated, but with premium education comes a lot of power. And we have to understand that with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. They say, as in that famous line in the movie Spider-Man, that with great powers comes great responsibility. So these highly educated children need to be very, very responsible to the society. But while they're responsible to the society, what is very important is they need to be responsible to themselves. The first thing is, if you think about the fact that when we're traveling in an airplane and when the air hostess is giving the preliminary instructions, she says that before you put on the oxygen mask, in case the mask drop down upon yourself or you wear it yourself, you please wear it to your neighbor or somebody. Before you wear it to your neighbor, I'm so sorry, you wear it yourself. So we need to first be responsible to ourselves before we be responsible to somebody else. Now, what is responsibility? See, we have to understand that when we do special things in life, and when young children do special things in life, to a great measure, it's their parents who are catalyst. They are the ones who really push the children to do well in their lives. So they are special. It's you have special children because parents are special. And I personally believe that children are special because mothers are very, very special. Today there are great careers all over the world, and they're great careers because somewhere there's a great mother who's standing quietly like a mountain, like a pillar, pushing this. And when I talk about parents, why is it so important is because when we talk about responsibility and we talk about education, which ultimately go on somewhere to enhance self-confidence, we have to understand that confidence is not about getting great education, getting premium education. Confidence is not just about knowing and doing something very well or effectively. Confidence is to a great measure when we do things and achieve things which in certain ways also enhance the regard, reputation, thought process of our parents, our families, our peer groups. They're all linked. A special person does special things not only for himself. Only when you do special things for others does that make you special. So the same thing about confidence. It's not about I am very educated, so I am very confident, but my education brings a lot of honor and respect and glory to my parents. Right now, we have to understand something, that the best certificates and degrees, the best ones, are not given by a school, college, or a university, which is a lot of people think that. No, it's not. The best certificates not given by school, university, or a college, is given by life. The normal certificates which you and me get, I mean, you can touch them, you can feel them, you can frame them, laminate them, put them on a wall, but the certificates life gives you, you cannot laminate them, you cannot frame them, you cannot put them on a wall mounted and show people. I mean, when we do well, when we do something special, you can imagine that, what kind of respect and regard and honor and joy it brings to our families. They come up in their levels, which is what self-confidence is all about. I mean, you're walking the street and you see a blind man crossing, not trying to, not managing really with the traffic, and you are in great hurry because everybody's in a hurry nowadays, but you still take this 2 minutes to help him cross the road. Or maybe you see an old lady with a huge bag and she's struggling with it, and you just help her on. You get a certificate from life. And it's these certificates which bring self-confidence. It's not, what a lot of people feel, that, I know something really well, or I understand things well, I do things very effectively, and that makes me self-confidence. Well, that's not the truth. Now, coming back to the fact about the responsibility part, that I mean, there are two words today. One is the confidence part, which I just spoke about, and the secret part. I think, when you say the secrets of self-confidence is hype. And human beings are naturally attracted to the word secret. They're very curious. That secret, okay, what is this? But honestly speaking, this is no secret. I mean, you have videos, you've got YouTube channels, you've got motivational talks, and you've got every kind of thing possible around you. Probably you get 100 different things on WhatsApp which tells you everything about self-confidence. So it's not a secret, but secret is just a hype, because moment the word comes out, people are very interested, and more so, people are always interested in other people's secrets. I suppose that's the normal human tendency. You want to know what is someone else's secret about, maybe doing well, maybe achieving something, maybe getting some recognition. What is that secret? So I'm not going to share any great secret with you, but I'm going to tell you things which probably are all around us, but we kind of don't give that kind of an importance to it. So today's topic is not about giving you a great secret. It's about telling you certain things which we really don't give any importance to. Like I was telling Vikas a short while ago, that the human mind is such that it's like a pendulum. It's going from the past to the future to the past. It's never there in the present. So since our minds are not there in the present, we ignore a lot of things which is all around us at the moment. We're always either fast forwarding or probably going back. So we don't really get to see the things we really need to see. Now, the first thing which I would like to tell you is, when we talk about self-confidence and the secrets of self-confidence, a lot of people mistake this self-confidence in the sense that they link it to something. I mean, let's assume that a person is very highly qualified, premium qualification. Maybe he's from commerce, science, arts, from any field, very highly qualified. To a great measure, such a person vis-a-vis another person who's not very highly qualified or not qualified at all, probably feels something really good, feels a little elevated in status, feels very nice. Why? Because he's qualified, and that qualification kind of tantamounts to his confidence. But here I have something very important to say. I mean, see, I have professional qualifications myself, and once upon a time, when probably I had qualifications but no sense, I used to feel that being a chartered accountant or a company secretary in MBA and having it there on your card is something amazing. But as I grew older, that's how it is with human beings. Wisdom comes with age. You may be very qualified at a young age and you may think no end of himself. That's perfectly all right. But wisdom will only come with age. There's something called experience, and life gives you those certificates which really makes you wise. A university or a college teaches you a lot of things, but wisdom comes only with time. So the same thing happened with me. I was no different to it. And what I learned was that the huge qualifications which are backing me up, that was not the thing which was making me confident. It was something else. And here I have a story to tell you. See, being a storyteller, I must link things with stories so that way you'll remember it very well. I'm going to tell you about the Great Wall of China. See, the Great Wall of China is a very, very special edifice. It's a very special monument. Why? Because, the Great Wall of China was supposedly once upon a time 21,000 kilometers long. You can very well imagine. Of course, now it's not that long. It's broken down now with time and age. 21,000 kilometers long. And this wall it started being built in around 220 BC. And, after that, about 7-8 dynasties of kings in China went on building it. So, it was built over a period of almost 2,000 years. And the man who started building it was a Chinese king those days. He was Qin Shi Huang. He was the man who started building the Great Wall. And the purpose of building the Great Wall was one. One was to unify China. It was, divided into many territories and in regions, and also they wanted it to be unified. And they wanted, most of all, it to be protected from outsiders, especially, warring tribes, especially the Mongols, those kind of people. That was the Great Wall of China was made to protect that. Now, despite of this great structure being made to protect the whole of China, it was invaded numerous times. And, they were petrified of the Mongols. And the first Mongol who broke in through the Great Wall of China was Genghis Khan, who was a dreaded Mongol, if you heard about it. So why did that happen? Why is it that such a strong wall? And again, not just the wall, fortified, there are towers in between, watchtowers, which were full of soldiers and those kind of artillery and equipments to protect. So it was not just the wall, it was even soldiers standing on top, protecting the wall. Now, why, despite of such kind of fortification, which is unheard of in history? Great Wall of China is the only man-made feature which is visible from outer space. You can very well imagine the gigantic mammoth structure which man has made. Now, why, despite of this fortification, it failed? It failed. Why? So one very important reason is because of human fallibility. The soldiers who were on top, they were not competent. They couldn't protect the wall. Two, many times because of greed and other factors, they themselves opened the gates so that the enemy could come in. And in at certain times, they themselves, dropped down ladders and other kind of things so the enemy could come in. So despite of all that structure, the gigantic, strong fortification, it fell because the people behind the show were not up to the mark. And that is the reason why, despite of the Great Wall being built, China was invaded numerous times. The same about the qualifications. You have the world's best qualification, but that has to be backed by a strong personality. It must have personal characteristics. It must have, those kind of elements which should be there within the person who carries those qualifications for those qualifications to take real effect. So, let us not equate, this is just an example. Let us not equate self-confidence with any particular thing. You may have a fantastic build, very strong, may still not be self-confident. You may have great qualifications. I mean, I know the most qualified people to be the most nervous people. Especially when they're probably going for an interview or they're going for, any kind of a public speech or something, that they're terribly nervous. The most qualified, the strongest, etc., are, they have this strange notion that it's this which gives the self-confidence. That's not so. Let me elaborate it in a way that you and me can understand. See, we can go to numerous classrooms, you can go for numerous lectures. It's nice when we hear lectures about motivation, inspiration, confidence. Everyone feels good. And, the speakers, they pepper it with things and stories and inferences. That feels good. For a while, you get motivated and then the motivation is gone. We can, as I said, that we live in a machine world and people are charging their equipments and their mobiles and laptops much more than they charge themselves, which is not a great idea, but then that's how the world runs nowadays. So what I want to tell you is, when we talk about self-confidence, we have to understand that, we need to do a few things. Just listening to lectures, as I said, or listening to sermons, or going for a class or some motivation thing, that is not going to help. Everyone goes for that, and there are numerous such lectures and all which are all on YouTube. But somehow the self-confidence fact is not there. The reason is because it's not about listening. We listen a lot, we hear, we see, but the factum remains we don't practice. A child is told in a personality development class that, you need to be standing in front of the mirror and talking. You need to be, expressing yourself. And that is going to improve your self-confidence. That's going to improve your communication abilities. That's going to improve your stage presence. It's all fine. It's all fine. But the fact is, would that child be doing it more than once or even once? He wouldn't do it. I mean, today we listen to a lot of good things, but where do we practice it? There's no practice. I mean, I'm sure that you all have heard wonderful things, much more wonderful than what I can possibly even think about saying today. But the fact remains that after a while, it's like a snake ladder. You go up when you're motivated. You climb up the snake ladder, and 98 there's a big python about to to swallow you, and you come down. So life is like that. So let me just discuss a few things about self-confidence, which we all know about, but we don't practice it. And mankind has become such that we are always suspicious of everything around us. It's so hard for us to believe it. And the first thing about self-confidence which I want to tell you is about belief. And the word which I'm going to use over here for self-confidence is faith. And faith is a strong belief that no, something is going to happen. See, there are a lot of things around us happening, a lot of good things also. Unfortunately, the media and news and everything else is projecting everything in a very bad and a very negative light. The good things happening in the world too. No one wants to talk about those things. Because nothing in our country, nothing sells like bad news. Two things are sold: sorrow and fear, and people buy it. Astonishingly, but that's the sad truth. So, when we talk about faith, it's about a certain belief. And man has become so suspicious by nature, unfortunately, because of the negativity in the environment. So suspicious that even probably if God was sitting beside you, you would probably pinch God to see if it's really God or something else. The suspicion has gone to that level. So, when certain things happen in our life, or when we are confronted with certain things, it's not necessarily that it's bad or it's negative. It can be something good. So we need to believe certain things. At least we need to believe certain good things in our life, that okay, if awkward things can happen, even good things can happen. So this, I'm going to tell you a story which kind of, it resonates this fact. The story is, somewhere in the heartland of India, in a small village, the people were really suffering because there were no rains. There was drought for many years, and because of the drought, what happened was that the rivers were drying, the ponds were drying, the water bodies were drying, cattle were dying every day, and people were on the brink of starvation. Things were really, really bad, and the villagers were at the teether's end. They did not know what to do. And that's the time when someone came and told the village headman. In India, you call them mukhia. Someone came and informed the mukhia that there's a god man, there's a very holy man who has come to visit the neighboring village. So would you want to go and visit that man? Maybe he might be able to help you. You never know, because you need some divine intervention. So the headman thought it's a good idea. So he, along with some villagers, he went to the other village, and they begged and pleaded with the holy man that if you could please help us, we are on the brink of starvation, and we're in a very bad condition. The holy man agreed to come. So on a certain appointed day, he came and he saw the things around. He understood. Then he said, okay, I'm going to do some small ritual over here. When the ritual is done, I'm going to give you a particular date and time. At that date and time, be sure that your problems will be alleviated. I mean, there will be rains. Anyway, he finished the ritual and he left. And on that appointed date and time, the villagers, remembering that what the holy man had said, they came out of the houses in big groups, and they stood at the fields, they stood near the river, and astonishingly, there were some dark clouds in the horizon. So they were all anticipating now that the holy man had said, we are sure that it's going to rain. In this huge crowd, only one little boy, a small boy who used to live in the village, he carried a small umbrella with him. In the hundreds of people who were accumulated over there, only this little boy had faith. The holy man had said, he's a really saintly man. If he has said it, for sure, pakka, it's going to rain. If it's going to rain, let me take an umbrella. I must protect myself. So he was the only one who really had faith. The rest were curious. There's a big difference. It's so surprising. We believe in 100,000 gods and goddesses, saints, fakirs, God knows what not. But we literally have no faith, and most importantly in ourselves. That if we have come this far in life, if you and me are here now, I mean, all of us combined, we all have a certain average age, 30, 40, 50 maybe. And, we have lived through these number of years. We're going to go further. You imagine in the pandemic in the last 2.5, 3 years, there are probably hundreds and thousands of people like you and me who haven't been able to pass the pandemic. They all passed away. So there's something special about you and me. I mean, Obviously the reason why we are alive is because we have things to be done which will take us forward. So the first thing about self-confidence, we must have faith. Forget about faith in another, at least have some faith in ourselves that if we've reached here, we're going to go far. I mean, luck is not going to abandon us and walk away. Okay, you've come till here, thank you very much, I'm going. That's not going to happen. But that's what a lot of people feel, especially I see young qualified boys, when they qualify, maybe they qualified engineering or they've qualified CA or CAS or something, and then they are at the teacher's end. My God, what's going to happen? Will I get a job? I think if you've come so far, of course you're going to get a job. I haven't seen a single CA, CS or an MBA, whoever, sitting at home and hatching eggs. They're all working. I mean, where is the faith gone? There's no faith. So that's the first thing which I wanted to speak about. And the next thing which I want to speak about is something very, very important, and that word is called fear. Now we all know what is fear, right? Now fear is again a feeling. Like you feel hot, you feel cold, you feel tired, you feel fear. It's a feeling. But unfortunately, what happens is the way we can deal with the other emotions or the other requirements, the other elements, we don't deal with fear as anything near that. I mean, fear builds in us from childhood, brick by brick until it's a huge palace and we're all living inside it. And we love living inside it for whatever reason. And the environment around it is such, it compels us to live inside. As long as you are fearful, things are fine. Things are fine for probably everyone. Because, that is one psychosis which, during COVID, I mean, some people died. Some people probably died in the living rooms looking at the news or the kind of news which is going on. So, fear is something which is a very common phenomena. And the fact remains that, we have to understand, like when we spoke about data, that if we really take a look at data and we take a look at the things which we are scared of, it's human. You will feel fear. It's not that you cannot feel. Of course, you're going to feel fear, but you need to have that, again, that faith that we're going to go beyond it. And it's fine with an ad, डर के आगे जीत है, वो ad तक ही सीमित है. आदमी उसको जिंदगी में यूज कभी नहीं करता. कि आज अगर 95%, 95% of the things we are worried about that it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. Out of the 100 things, 95 things won't happen. And the 5% which happens probably happens because we attract it. Because day and night you're thinking, God knows what's going to happen. Oh my God, I'm not going to get a job. Oh my God, my daughter's not going to get a good match. Oh my God, we won't find a good house. Oh my God, will we? So, that 5% which happens, the fear, is because we bring it. We're attracted by a law of attraction. Whatever we think day and night, whatever we imagine day and night is bound to come to be. It has to manifest. So, fear is one very important factor which erodes the self-confidence completely. I find that very educated people are fearful, and the ones who are not educated textually, because, nobody's illiterate in this world. Unfortunately, a lot of people feel there's illiteracy. Nobody's illiterate. Literacy is of two kinds: text literate, skill literate. I mean, if somebody's a rickshawala, he's making a living running a rickshaw, or maybe a cobbler. He doesn't know how to read and write, but he's skill literate. How dare somebody calls him illiterate? तो illiteracy नहीं है, या तो text literate है, शिक्षा है, अक्षर को पहचानता है, या he's skill literate. So, the literate ones are the most scared. The ones who are semi-literate or not literate, they are probably much more sure about life. Probably they understand the psychosis of fear better than a literate person. So, another story over here which comes to mind, and the story is about a great monk who we have probably all heard about. He's no lesser than a man called Swami Vivekananda. And what happened was, once upon a time, he had gone to Varanasi, and he was walking the banks of the Ganges, and he had a small, a cloth bag on his side which had a few of his belongings. So while he was walking, it was getting a little dark, and he suddenly found that a huge group of monkeys were walking behind him. And of course, they were eyeing the bag because, monkeys, they always look for food. And they had this impression that maybe there's something eatable inside this cloth bag. And, seeing so many monkeys following him, he got a little unnerved, and he was walking faster, and the monkeys were also going faster. And he started running because he was a little, overawed. And the monkeys were chasing him too. Imagine, how a man can outrun a monkey. And that's a time when, from somewhere, maybe some sadhu, some saint, some great man was meditating in some corner, and when he saw that sight, that man only used two words: face them. Vivekananda heard it. He stopped in his tracks, he stopped running, He stood his ground, he turned around and he stared at the monkeys. He looked at them, and unbelievably, the monkeys shied away. And that is the nature of fear. You have to face it. You got to stop at our tracks, turn around and look at it at his eyes. Nothing is as good or as bad as it seems on first sight. We always imagine fear to be much bigger than what it really is. So we need to face them. And that is the other element or a platform which enables us to be a little more confident, because as you face a fear, you deal with it and you overpower it, you're more confident. Life gives you one more certificate, and the certificate's add. So fearlessness is a very important element of self-confidence. And the next one which I'm going to tell you again is probably an offshoot, is an offshoot of this. And again, since I was talking about Swami Vivekananda, I'll take another leaf from his work, and it's his word. And he says that I may not be handsome, but I can always give my hand to some. He meant that we can all be of some use to someone, and I think that is the greatest of things. When you are of use to others and they benefit, you benefit too. The rule of the cosmos is very, very simple. What you give, you get back. I mean, science says it. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I'm from commerce, and we've been taught that every debit has an equal and corresponding credit. It's a give and take. And when I'm talking about give and take, I have to tell you that long ago, when I finished my school, I had very poor marks, and my teachers met my mother and said that we don't have much hope of this boy. He's got such poor marks. And not knowing what to do after class 10, since everybody is joining college, I also joined college. I got into college with great difficulty because marks were equally pathetic. And I was looking for a good teacher. When someone recommended me a teacher, he was a mad professor who I was told doesn't take money. So he didn't take any money from me. And I thought that he's going to teach me. And when I went to him, he was very rude and difficult. And instead of teaching me, he put me in charge of two boys who were in junior school. Both were in a pathetic state. Both were failures. They were failing repeatedly, and they were terrible. So he said that I want you to bring them up. I want you to improve them so they remain in school. Otherwise, they'll get transfer certificates. Initially, I was very taken aback and I was very upset because I myself was in a bad state. And this mad professor was putting me in touch of two children who were way, way worse. And I did not know because I never taught in my life. I was hardly in class 11 myself. But over the years, I realized that what that man had taught me, they say that teacher impacts infinity. Teaching those two children, it really helped me to discover the real me, because in teaching them, I improved myself. And, over the years, the number of students grew, my qualifications grew. And many, many years later, when my first book was released and my school teachers were brought on stage with my mother, they just stared at me and they said, my mother, and they said that we don't believe it's this boy with so many qualifications. How is it possible? It's no miracle, not that I became brilliant or something. Nothing like that at all. What I gave, what I tried to teach, it just came back to me. That's it. It just came back. That's the rule of the cosmos. The world has become such a selfish space. People are only interested in getting. They want, not realizing that you'll get everything, but you need to give. So you need to give your hand to some. And when you get it back, you don't only get that back, you get much more in return. And what you get is self-confidence. I have taught for many, many years. And I realized that in teaching others, I have learned much more. My students, children, they have taught me things which I thought I knew, but I did not. So giving a hand to some is a very big element. And we forget that. Well, I have something else to tell you. One of the very important reasons why self-confidence erodes is, when we compare ourselves to someone else. Often there is, in the society, there's comparison. I can understand. Not that parents are ill-meaning, but sometimes parents compare their own children. Your brother is doing so well. Your sister is doing so well. When I was small, I would see in my family, my cousins doing well, and somebody's doing engineering. And I used to feel very small. My God, they all, and then somebody would comment, look at your brother, how good he is. What are you doing? You should be like him. So that kind of thing. The comparison is very common. And then we grow up with that thought process. We compare X to Y ourselves to somebody. So, neighbors are comparing their financial status, children are comparing their marks, and parents are comparing their achieved X, Y, Z. So this game of comparison goes on, and it's a very bad idea. See, each of us is unique. We are different in our own ways. This comparison business is bad. I mean, Barack Obama became the US president in 48, and Donald Trump probably became a US president probably in his late 60s. And I think Biden is nearing his 80 years. So they've all been presidents. I mean, how does it matter? Everybody's got a different timeline. So this comparison business is a very bad one. We must stop it, because that is certainly going to erode yourself, because there'll be somebody doing better than you financially or otherwise, or in whichever way. You think it's better. How do you know? You're not in that person's shoe. So this comparison business is a tragic business, and it happens too much in the society, and it gets ingrained in us. We keep doing it, and we make things worse. Now, here again, I have another story to tell you. And the story is about a little boy. Now, one day, this little boy, he runs up to his mother and says, "Mama, I want to ask you something." Mother said, "Yes, my son, tell me what." He said, "Can you tell me what I'm really worth?" Mother was very taken aback. Such a small boy. She said that, okay, why is it that you ask me this question? He said, "No, I'm very keen to know, because I've been asking myself this question. I don't have an answer." So after a lot of thought, the mother said, "Okay, I'm going to give you an answer." And she went into one of her rooms, and she opened a cupboard, and she took out something, and she gave it to the boy. What she gave him was a little bit of crystal. It's a small piece of crystal, a beautiful piece of crystal. And she said, "Why don't you just go and meet your friends or whoever you find, and just ask them what is the value of this crystal. Go ask them. When you come back with the answers, I'm going to tell you what you're worth." The little boy took that, and very excitedly he ran to his friend, a young girl called Mary, and he said, "Mary, this crystal, you see how?" And she saw it. She said, "Yeah, it's very beautiful." She said, "Mary, can you tell me what could be the worth of this crystal?" She said, "Well, looks expensive, maybe $20-30 maybe." So, well, he got one answer. Then he ran to his neighborhood uncle, who used to, go for a walk, and he used to see him every day. And he said, "Uncle, can you see this? Can you just tell me what this could be worth?" So the uncle also took a look, and he said, "Well, looks good. Maybe, who knows, maybe $100. Why don't you go and ask the museum guy who stays in the neighborhood?" So there was a museum in the neighborhood. So he went and asked the museum keeper that what could be, and he gave another worth. And he spent the whole day asking, and everybody was giving him a different price for it. Now, by the time he came back home in the evening, he was a little confused, told his mother, "Look, I don't know what. Everybody's been giving a different answer." Isn't that exactly what I want to tell you? People will assign you, give you different words as per what they think you're worth to them. But your real worth, you're priceless. So we all are priceless. Doesn't matter what the society assigns us as what they think is a worth. That's not our true worth. If people elevate you very high, maybe your worth is different. If people put you right down, that's not your worth. So don't be bothered about what people think about what is your worth. You must always consider, I'm unique and I'm very special, and I'm going to be doing special things, and that is going to add to your self-confidence. Let's not go in for that comparison business. It's a bad business. Okay. Very, very important in a society today, because we live in a machine world, as I told you. That's why I mentioned machines. And machines are not bothered about relationships. Machines don't care about relationships. They care about work, and they care about time. So this is about relationship, and how important it is for us to have meaningful relationships, because meaningful relationships make us feel good about ourselves. And when you feel good about yourself, you probably are far more confident than what you're otherwise. If you're living alone and you really have no friends, no family, no nothing, the chances are that you're going to be a very, very positive and motivated person doesn't see, unless of course you're a Muni or a Rishi, you're meditating in the Himalayas, that's a different thing altogether. But living in a society, if you're living alone and you have no links, no contacts whatsoever with other humans, the chances that you might be pretty depressed. So it's very important that we have healthy relationships, whether it's at home with our parents, whether it's with our brothers and sisters, whether it is with our friends, especially with our friends, and even networking other people. That gives us a lot of joy. That brings us a lot of satisfaction. It's a great satisfaction. I remember this. Probably it's just a saying. It didn't really happen. But outside an operation theater, it was written that "Agar dil khol ke baat kar lete yaro se, to aaj kholna na padta auzaro se." That had you spoken your hearts out with your friends, opened your hearts with your friends, then probably I wouldn't have to open with a knife or a scalpel. So we fail to understand the value of relationships. Often we understand relationships when it's all gone. or we understand that the strength of a relationship, and the person concerned is not there anymore. And I would say, when I talk about relationships, I would also talk about relationships with people in our lives who were there, who used to love us, maybe family, friend, who are not there anymore. Even with them, there is a relationship. We have to understand something, friends, that death ends a life. Death doesn't end relationships, sir. My grandmother is dead 15 years. But whenever I do something sometimes and I think, my God, what would she have said? She would have not approved of it. Oh my God, she would have not liked it. My relationship with her has continued, because relationships will continue in the mind of the survivor. So that is the importance of relationships. So when you build good relationships, it is definitely going to add to your self-confidence. Undoubtedly, whether it is with your friend or whether it is a neighbor or whether anyone you meet. A good relation doesn't mean you need to have a relationship where you are having interaction every day, but even if a chance meeting with somebody, the person should feel good in your company. Now, another story to tell you where relationships are concerned. Now, it so happened that, somewhere in Northwest America, there's a county called the Orange County. It's like a district, and Orange County is very famous for baseball championships. Like in India, cricket, hockey is very famous. In America, baseball is considered to be a real big sport. So, in the Orange County baseball championship was really famous, was really big. It was a grand affair. And, thousands and lakhs of people would watch it in the stadium. They would probably see it on television, listening to the commentary on that kind of thing. Now, this Orange County baseball championship was very special. And the teams which used to play in the championship in the county, they were also called by different colors, red, green, blue, and all. And, it was a known fact the Blues were the best team, because for quite a number of years, they were perpetually the champions. Now, I'm going to tell you about a particular year when the team which qualified opposite the blue was the red. They had never qualified and they were not considered to be one of the greatest of teams. But it was a surprise, final, like you see often in football and others. A surprise team comes into the final. So there was a surprise finalist. And the interesting thing is the exchange which happened in the dressing room on the day of the finals. When the final was about to be held and the teams were getting ready, one of the members used to play for the red, a boy called Jonathan. He was the smallest of the players in the red, the youngest, tiny little fellow. And he was a very sweet boy. He had very good relations with everybody, including the coach. A wonderful relation. But unfortunately, that season, he didn't get a single game to play. Everybody got a chance, but he was sitting on the bench, always with, okay, I'm going to let you play. And, it never happened. Now, on the day of the final, he went to the coach and said, Coach, today the final game is the last game. Please allow me to play. Coach said, look, Jonathan, you're a good boy, I know, but Jonathan, it was the last game. I'm an old man. I'm about to retire. And, I want to retire with the cup. It's my last hope. I want to put in the best team. You've been in the bench. You haven't played a single game. How can I take a chance? He said, Coach, look, don't be unfair. Everybody's got a game. I've got nothing. The coach said, Jonathan, it's the final day. You can imagine the selectors and everybody else. They'll be after me if anything goes wrong. The boy was begging and pleading. The coach said, look, Jonathan, in the normal lineup, I cannot allow you. But yes, since you are pleading so much and you're a good boy, if in case there's an injury, I might allow you some time. Jonathan didn't have a choice. After all, he was talking to the coach. So the game started. Jonathan was sitting in the bench and watching. And of course, by halftime, as expected, the Blues were winning, the Reds were losing. And to make matters worse for Red, the best player got injured. Jonathan went to the coach and said, you promised me you're going to get me injury time. The coach told Jonathan, look, have some mercy on me. My best player is gone. I'm looking for a good replacement. I'm losing the game. What do you want, Jonathan? Saying, but what if nobody else gets injured? I'm not going to get this, this last chance. Now the coach was stuck by his word. He didn't have a choice. He's saying, okay, fine. I promised you. I'm just going to give you 10, 15 minutes max. Please don't go out and make me lose, for God's sake. Jonathan goes out to play. Jonathan plays a game. He plays a fantastic game. He plays so well, the coach does not withdraw him. He keeps playing well. And at the end, astonishingly, to everybody's great surprise, the Reds win the cup by the narrowest of margins. The spectators are stunned. The commentators are astonished. The selectors are flabbergasted. Who's this boy? Why didn't he play earlier? What has happened to the coach? Has he gone out of his mind? X, Y, Z. And journalists, they're everywhere. And especially when something wrong has been pointed out, they are there. They're the first ones to reach. And they were hammering the coach. What is this? Who's this boy? The coach called Jonathan and said, look, I have to ask for forgiveness, Jonathan. How could I be so blind that I did not see your talents? You have to forgive me because for you that I'm retiring with this cup. Otherwise, I have not retired with this cup for sure. Jonathan said, Coach, please don't feel bad. I am grateful, utterly grateful you allowed me to play today. It was my last chance. Because I don't blame you because a lot of things about me you did not know. The coach said, what? He said, every time I would to come to play a game over here, a man would come to me thinking I would play. The coach said, yes, I remember seeing this man who would come with a hat and all. Who's this man? Jonathan said, Coach, I never had a chance to introduce you, but he was my father. Coach said, but Jonathan, today's your big day. Shouldn't your father come today? He's saying, Coach, I did not even get a chance to tell you that a few weeks ago, my father passed away. Now the coach was feeling very bad. He was feeling really, really disappointed, and he was feeling very frustrated with himself. Saying, Jonathan, what have I done? I mean, had I allowed you to play earlier in earlier games, at least your father could have seen you play. He's saying, no, coach. Unfortunately, my father would have never seen me play. The coach said, why? He's saying, my father was blind. Now the coach was feeling miserable. Saying, my God, what have I done? He's saying, Coach, thank you so much for allowing me to play today. Because today, wherever my father is, he's watching me play. And I only played to show my father how well I can play. He only got a chance to play because he had a good relation with the coach. And even his relationship with his dead father didn't end. Relationships don't end. You value relationships, you make good relationships, your confidence is up. Forget about your qualifications. That's all humbug. People tell you, highly qualified, you're going to be this and you're going to be that. You got to be human. That's very important. Unfortunately, the most qualified people are the most selfish people. Where are the human? I'm not categorizing. I'm not, please don't think that I'm criticizing anybody. Criticism is a career in a country. I don't want to make it a career. It's not a career for me. But a lot of qualified people I find, they only think about themselves. Where are meaningful relationships? I think the people who are not very qualified, not very educated are far more humble, and they make more meaningful relations than the very smart ones. So relationships is so important for us. Time is running out. And I know Vikas's clock is running very fast. So, when I spoke about so many things, let me also tell you why is health so important. Guys, look, no matter what, no matter how qualified, how smart, or what good relations, ultimately it's health. In Hindi, they say, it's a very old saying, Pehla sukh, nirogi kaya. The first happiness, the first joy is good health. And, often a lot of people, even youngsters, neglect the health. Either they are studying or they're busy with their career. Okay, we'll do it later. Usually people start these walks and everything after a certain age. Even laughter clubs. I've seen young students of mine telling me, sir, अब इनको देखिए ना सर, ये look at these middle-aged people, ये सब हाथ उठा के हंस रहे हैं, बताइए सर, ये क्या है सर, ये उम्र का, मैं बोले कि देखो, अगर ये समय से अगर हंसते, समय रहने पर हंसते तो बूढ़े ही नहीं होते. हंसते कहाँ है? मैं तो आजकल सुनता ही नहीं हूँ कि लोग हंस रहे हैं या बड़े आवाज जोर से ठहाके से हंस रहे हैं. कहाँ? मेरे को सुनाई ही नहीं पड़ता बिल्कुल. पहले में लोग काम करते थे, गाना गाते थे, और कहाँ? I don't find it. Health is, a lot of young health is connected with gyms, but being healthy is not only about exercising. It's about probably eating good food. It's probably laughing a lot. It's probably doing meaningful things, physically, because physical health is not that everything is being done by machines. Where is the need to move? I mean, the kind of bodies we've got, we need to work much more than what we do to have good health. That's why you have those things in your mobile, 10,000 steps and all that. We all need to work, walk, do these things much more. It's very important to have good health. And talking about good health, I just happen to remember this this gentleman. His name, I think his name is Shekhar Gaud. Shekhar Gaud is a triple amputee. Shoulder gone, 2 legs, part of one part of leg amputated, triple amputee. And I remember that he was one of the first triple amputees, 3 amputations in his body, to have climbed Mount, one of the mountains in South Russia. I think it was Mount Elbrus. He climbed Mount Elbrus being a triple amputee. Can you imagine the spirit and the health? I mean, he's one man I remember having read. He cycled in 48 days from Ladakh to Kanyakumari, triple amputee. I mean, if I tell somebody in Calcutta that you cycle from one end of the city to the other end, he would be panting. He probably wouldn't reach. He'd be so tired. In 48 days to cover that kind of a ground, you can very well imagine. That needs good health. I mean, you have good health, you got a strong body, it's certainly going to, happen with a strong mind. And a strong body and a strong mind, well, it's a great combination for self-confidence. So anyway, I think I'm probably on the borderline of the session. So, I need to tell you that, I think this entire exercise which is being done by Vikas and his organization Beyond Law CLC is a great initiative. When you spread education, you spread knowledge free of cost. You're doing a great society. Civilization has only moved forward because man has shared his knowledge free. That's how civilization has moved forward. Man would have stored and probably hoarded his knowledge. The civilized सभ्यता आगे चलती ही नहीं. तो मैं छोटी-छोटी बातें आपको बताता हूँ before I go, and that is, अपने, in an everyday life, forget about the big things we spoke about. Small things, अच्छे शब्द. We don't use words like please, thank you very much, you're looking very smart today, how are you doing? I mean, is everybody define it? Small, nice words, they add a lot because, these words connect you to people. And when you connect to people in this manner, you speak nicely to them, they feel good. They retort back nicely. And this entire thing, it adds to your sense of self-confidence. Life is giving you a certificate that you're a good person. And a good person is certainly a confident person. Certainly. Because the confidence comes from within. It's not dependent on any external factors. Ki mere ke paas certificate hai, mere paas 50 degree hai, falana hai. No, it's not that. The goodness comes from within. And again, being a very holy month of September, with Goddess Durga about to come, I'm just a small-time teacher and a writer. But I want to wish all of you the best this festive season. May Goddess Durga bless each one of you and your families with her choicest blessings, and you be happy, healthy, peaceful, prosperous in your lives. With these words, I would like to conclude the session. I'm very thankful to Beyond Law CLC for this wonderful initiative and for asking me to be here with all of you here today. And believe me, it was a sheer pleasure. It was wonderful. And again, see, life is paying me back in such nice ways. Another certificate I get. It can't be seen, but I can feel it in my heart, and I feel very good. So until we meet again, best wishes. Vikasji, I would hand over the proceedings to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amarji. The way you have mesmerized, I'm reminded that if you are in a music concert, firstly the music and the way the people take things forward is, you even forget the time, you just keep yourself in that swing and the music itself. And akin to your name, I'm quite sure that this knowledge sharing of yours would be Amar, or as what we say, immortal. And 2 questions meanwhile have come, and any other persons can also pose the questions. This is in today's materialistic world, money has become everything. Earning money is becoming the sole motto of the education. How people with high standards of moral can live in this world of consumerism.
Vikasji, there is a question which has come here, if you allow me to answer it.
Oh, I've read that question. In fact, it's shared it directly. That was a DM. Second question, I will also take: how to combat sadness when somebody dies.
So would you answer it, or you want me to answer it?
You answer it.
Okay. See, what happens is death is inevitable. We have to understand that. And all of us are going to lose our near and dear one sometime or the other. And when that happens, it's human that we feel sad. But, we need to be sad in a constructive way, in a way that today, if, one of our parents pass away, like I lost my father at a very early age, I used to always remember and feel sad. And then I realized that my father wouldn't want me to spend my days in sadness, crying for him. He would want me to be something, do someone, and to be someone special. So, I put all that emotion, whatever I had, that sad emotion, into effort so that I could be someone he really wanted me to be. All of us, when someone we love passes away, we all know what the person thinks and wants. No one who loves us will want us to be sad. So while we will still feel sad, let us use that sadness towards doing something which the person would have liked. It's a much better way to remember that person. So, we cannot avoid that sadness, but you can always channelize that sadness into activity which would make that person happy. You know what the person would have loved to do. So do that, and you will feel much better in your sadness. Not just sad, but sad, happy, and joyous that you did something the person would have liked. Because wherever the person is, somewhere someone is watching you, and what could be better than someone watching you, knowing that you're doing what they would have loved to do.
But was the fact that once you do the best thing, that closest one was dear to his heart. Let's assume you wanted that you should make your place within the society in X or Y, Z manner. So one should try to raise that bar, and that can be the best way of tribute. And keep on lingering with the sad thoughts doesn't lead one in a progressive manner. So one has to move on, and that's the journey. And this is by how to control anger during work.
There's another question: how to control anger during work? Okay. See, workplaces are a place where, we are challenged to our limits, whether it's the limit of our ability to work, whether it's our thought process, whether it is our relationships, especially employees with their seniors, with the bosses. But, we have to understand that, the biggest enemy which we have is anger. And, it will never solve anything for us. It will never solve anything for us. I personally feel that when you find someone angry, or you yourself are angry, at the least you can do is at that moment, don't react. It's very easy to say, do this, do that. When you are very angry, you feel you're terribly angry about something or someone, at that moment, try. You don't react. You just bear with it. Don't react. Somebody is being angry with you, shouting, screaming a lot. Don't react. You can do a much better job when you think about it well and react later in a calmer way. That's the least we can do. Don't react. It's very easy to react. If somebody is angry with you, shouting at you, you're going to shout back, and that he's abusing, you're abusing. And that puts your level up a lot. If you can get over your anger, you are a man or a woman who's going to be doing some very special things in life. Because most mortals fail to that one emotion. Either they fail to fear or they fall to anger, one of them. So the least you can do is hang on. Don't react then. If you want to react, later. But at that moment, please wait for that time to pass.
I can just add, they say that anger is just one word short of danger. So they exist and coexist together. So one should always control the anger. They say that anger is more like holding the fire in the hand. If you keep on throwing at someone else, it's always dangerous. So rather you can burn something for yours, but to save the society in the larger interest, it's always better to control the anger. Now, this is by Amar. Sadness is cognitive function. One has to understand the cognition, and this will happen only when we raise the level of our thought. So mediation is another process, or yoga or deep breathing is another process that one can do. And like you have been taking through the entire session, and it's always said that fear would be face everything and rise. That's the best way, rather than forget everything and run. That will not be taken. They say that only the cowards run, but the stronger people always face it. And especially once you are head of an institution or leading a team, you have to act as a mentor and move things forward. So meanwhile, I will just check it out if we have something on the YouTube. Yeah. So that was good for the day. And friends, tomorrow we will have a session with Mr. Manoj Sharma, who is presently in the Director, Judicial Academy, Delhi. He will be speaking on the Data Privacy Act. So do stay connected with us tomorrow at 6 p.m. And words can fall short. The way eruditely Mr. Amar Agarwala has explained the journey of self-confidence. And as they say that One is more like a candle. If even in the darkest way, one can show the light. And similarly, if self-confidence, one has to generate from his own, but at the same time, to say that even in the darkest alleys, darkest valleys, and darkest tunnels, it's the light. And light is through confidence, through power. And they say knowledge is power, knowledge is light. Thank you for the day. Stay connected. Namaskar.